Hi, I'm Barnard, editor of So Beautiful magazine, and this July issue we're showing you a kind of a new technique that Khristal Jouett has kind of made up from an heirloom technique, but she's made it kind of fun and dressed it down a little bit using pony beads and spaghetti bias. And I wanted to share a video with you because it's a little bit easier when you have somebody show you how to do it. Now, Khristal's kind of my go-to girl for all kinds of great designs in the magazine, and I'm sure you've seen her name in numerous issues. So, Khristal, can you tell us a little bit about this technique and where the idea came from and what inspired you?
Well, when I first started thinking about it, because you had given me some spaghetti bias and said, see what you can do with it. And so I felt that I wanted to touch on an heirloom technique.
Yeah.
And I like the look of bridging because you have this pretty area where it's just, you have color floated in between these two sections, and it just really looks...
Yeah, it's very airy in between there. Yeah.
And so I like to do a lot of different crafts. And, you know, I've done knitting, I like to sew, and I've done a little bit of macrame.
Yeah,
and
I can see where that's kind of like macrame.
And my daughter and I, we use a lot of beads for some of her craft projects at home, because, you know, you have to keep the kids busy.
Yeah.
So I decided to try my hand at it with the pony beads and the spaghetti bias. And so I was able to come up with the look of bridging, but, you know, give it a little bit of a contemporary edge for like children's play clothes or maybe children's clothes that are slightly more dressed up but not heirloom dressed up.
Well, this allows you to play with a lot of color too, because if you wanted to, you could even make this band a contrast down here. You could make both sides of these loops, the bridging loops, the same color of spaghetti or different colors of spaghetti. You could probably even interchange these loops if you want to put a lot of color on there or keep them all the same. And even if you wanted to do something like this for yourself as an adult, let's say that you've got a black outfit here, and you can make your own spaghetti bias by making your own tubes, right? But let's say you used black spaghetti bias and it blended with the black fabric, and you could use silver pony beads in here. And kind of, you could do it around a neckline, or you could do it across the bottom of a little top and on capri pants, just like these. So it doesn't have to be just a child's you know, technique on children's clothing. You can really go a step further with this.
You could even take this to a tote bag if you wanted to have a bag that, you know, matched your outfit or something.
Or use like a braid or a roping. It might be a little bit thick in here, but there's lots of fun things. And really, I understood it well from your instructions and when I had to start illustrating how it was done. But then I thought, wow, this would be a great technique to let you demonstrate and show people how it's done, because it looks great and it looks complex. It is pretty easy to do once you understand what's going on, but you really do, it helps to have someone show you. So I'm going to let you, I'm going to break away and then let you show everybody step by step the process of how to get this done.
No problem.
Are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, everyone. I'd like to first start off with talking about how to prepare your pattern for bridging. So what we've done, and I'll tell you a couple of things that I like to do. Let's start with the pants. First, I like to have a straight edge to work with. And it's nice to have a one-piece pants pattern, kind of like a pair of pajama pants. It's easy to work with and easy to change around. If you have a regular two-piece pants pattern, all you need to do is sew your side seam together so that you can lay your pants leg out flat to do the technique. Then the next thing you would need to think of would be the amount of space that you want your bridging to take up. And you're going to adjust your pant leg so that you can have the upper part, and you'll have a band that connects at the bottom of it. And you decide how wide you want this band to be. It could be like, for this it was probably about 1.5 inches. On this one, it's more like 3 inches or so. Also, this is a straight edge that you're working on, and this edge is more curved. So the bands are going to be a little bit different. For this one, it's pretty easy. You use a straight band of fabric. So you cut your pants leg, and then you cut a straight band to go underneath it. On this one, you're working with a curved edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut your area for where the bridging begins, and you're going to cut, I guess I would call it a facing, a two-piece facing. You're going to have your outer fabric, and you're going to have a lining fabric, and they're both going to be cut in curves, and you'll use the same pattern to cut the outer fabric as well as the lining. And also on this one, I still like to work with one straight edge or one long edge, and so what I've done is I've sewn one side seam so that I can lay it flat on my table and work the spaghetti and the beads across the bottom edge. Let's talk about how to thread beads onto spaghetti bias. First, in the article, we showed you how to use tape to form a rigid point at the end of your spaghetti bias. And so you're going to wrap your tape. You're going to wrap your tape around the bias tubing, and it's going to just come out into a nice little point. And once you have it in a point, you're going to be able to load your beads onto the spaghetti bias. To just thread them through, just like this. And so that's how, that's how we first describe how to load your beads onto the spaghetti bias. Well, in preparing for this segment, I found that it became pretty easy if I used another method. And this method, if you imagine using a needle threader, this is what you'll do. So first I went into my craft stuff, because yeah, I've got a lot of craft stuff, and I found some wire, and it's not a real thick gauge, it's not a real thin gauge, it's just something that you would use if you were making some kind of jewelry. And so what you do is, first off, you're going to keep a loop at the top of your wire, and then you're going to twist the bottom end of it so that you form your needle threader. And I'm just going to twist it like this, keeping my loop here at the end. And see, this is what I end up with. And this is going to be, made a little more narrow. But so I'm going to take this end, and just so that my beads don't fall off of my threader, I'm going to thread it through a button. And I was lucky enough to have this old button hanging around. And you're just going to twist it on the end. So now you have a beader that looks like a needle threader. So you have your loop, and it'll be slightly pointed to go through your beads. So let's give it a try here. So you can just load as many beads as you want. And if you're familiar with making jewelry, you could take your beads and take some masking tape and set your beads down onto the masking tape and just run the threader through the beads. Or you can just load them like I'm here. And you get faster at it when you're doing it yourself at home and you've got everything laid out for you. So, alright, so we have some beads loaded. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the end of the spaghetti bias tubing and we're going to put it through the loop. And so you're going to give yourself about, 3 inches or so. And this is where the fun happens. Now you let your beads fall to the very end of the threader, and you're going to push the beads onto your spaghetti bias tubing. And it works a good bit faster than threading it, a bead at a time.